There we go.
Graham. Sweet. I'd like to call to order the Longmont Housing and Human Service Advisory Board meeting, Thursday, January 11th, 2024. Is there any public invited to be heard?
Nobody asked.
Public, okay. Welcome new council liaison.
Did we hear from Erin? Are you coming?
I did not hear back.
So just so the new members, whenever there's an election, and we have new council members, we always have a liaison from council that attend. They're a non-voting member of the board. There's a liaison. For the past few years, we've had council member Shakita Yarborough, who actually started on this board, and then ran for city council and is a city councilor. But this year, they changed up the liaisons, and Aaron Rodriguez is our liaison. But yeah, he couldn't make it tonight apparently. Or he'll show up in a little bit.
Okay. Next time, welcome returning and new members. So returning is Kim. Welcome back. And then new, if you could introduce yourself, we'll start with Catherine.
I'm Catherine Lau, and what should I do? This is my third year living in Colorado. I can't tell from my accent. I actually worked on Wall Street in New York for a long time. Then I transitioned to being a professor in the financial crisis, and I'm teaching at CU Longmont.
Welcome. Jeffrey.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeffrey Boring. I live in Longmont 5, live up the street on Main Street. I work with a nonprofit organization, Estes Park, called the Estes Valley Land Trust. So I'm an environmentalist by profession, but I'm really interested in affordable housing and people housing. And I volunteer with Voices for Children, which is a local nonprofit organization. And I've worked for local governments before and had similar positions, so I'm excited to participate in the advisory board.
Mike Sandoval. I was raised here, going to all the elementary schools and graduated from high school here at Skyline, and then moved back, and so I've been here closer to 50 years. I'm a landlord right now, so I get a lot of feedback from my tenants, and I'm just living in Longmont. I think grew up here where there's only 28,000 people, and now it's over 100,000. So I'm seeing these changes in this world here. So I was a pharmacist. I stopped working a couple years ago because of COVID, and I didn't want to be around that disease. So now I got a little more free time, and now I'm able to join. I'm glad I got accepted and see what happens this year.
Welcome. Maybe we do around the horn just to introduce the existing members to new members.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Kim, you want to go first?
My name's Kim Stringa. This is my second round on the board, and I've really enjoyed it. It totally exceeded my expectations, and really have enjoyed the work and the people on the board. I'm a public health nurse, and I have my own consulting company, as well as I work as a case manager in the hospital, a local hospital.
Martha, you there?
I know Martha's not feeling well, but hopefully she can.
Hi, yes, I'm here. Martha Wilson. I don't know what's going on with my camera. When I press the button, nothing happens.
Okay.
So I'm here, I'm listening. I'm a local therapist in the area, and I also do a lot of advocacy work with police oversight boards and committees. And I help represent parents through the legal side who have open child welfare cases. This is my first go around in being a board member.
Thanks, Martha. I'm Graham Steers. I was at the end of my second term on the board, and I'm a contractor by day.
Rob Pedham, I think this is 1.5. I replaced somebody to finish out their term, and have been reselected. I served two terms with Parks, Rec, and Open Space with the City of Longmont, and I make my living as an editorial cartoonist.
My name is Crystal Faithful. I am in my first year, my first term of this board. I professionally, I work at EFA, the Emergency Family Assistance Association in Boulder. I'm a resource navigator. I also am working at the school district right now, going to school for human services with concentration in rescue studies, and do everything in the community and advocacy and everything of the sorts. So it's a pleasure to meet you. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to you three. Have you on the board. Be fun. Next item is to approve minutes from November 15th.
So those that report for here, you can abstain.
I motion.
We got a motion.
I read the minutes, I didn't see anything glaring errors, so I'm gonna move that we accept them.
All right, all in favor, raise your hand, please. Great, I think we got everybody. Martha, yeah, we got a virtual hand. All in favor? Thank you. Next item, approved minutes from December 14th. Oh, I was absent, so I'm abstaining from.
You got to abstain from that one.
I motion to approve.
Okay, you a second?
I can't.
Okay,
All in favor?
okay. Okay,
Great, it's unanimous.
that's done.
Designate official posting location for Housing and Human Service meeting agendas.
So Brenda, is that, so our official posting is on the, and I know it's not called PrimeGov anymore.
One meeting, it's one.
One meeting, so that is our official online posting, but we also have a physical posting place that we are required to do as well. And that is typically the west entrance. If you look at the door right next to it, there is a place where you can see all of the different agendas for upcoming meetings of boards and or council. So if you all are okay with that, we can get a motion for that.
A motion.
Okay. You're on a roll.
I'm on a roll.
Now you all can vote on this.
We have a second. I'll entertain a second.
Okay.
All right, all in favor, raise your hand, please.
All right, so if you want to see our agendas, they will be online or they will be posted here in the west door.
All right, now we'll dive into the work plan for 20.
Oh boy, here you go.
Are we verified that you or?
Yes, let me see, is it on here already?
Yes, on that.
Okay, so I'm gonna share this, folks can see that. Share screen, and we're gonna. Okay, Kim, Martha, you see this? I'm assuming. Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
Looks good.
Okay, so every year, oh, these are just informational.
Informational, yeah.
Yeah. And here the minutes. Keep going. All right, so every year this board has a work plan that we use as a guide. I'm gonna say guide because we also want to be flexible in case things come up or the board wants to discuss something else. We want to be flexible with our work plans, but we try and stick to our work plan as much as possible. Of course, Molly and Christina and I and Brenda, we take a look at this and we present to the board for approval. Because like HCI is like Molly said, is the first half of the year is pretty heavy on the HCI side. And even though we also have pieces to it from the human services side, and then toward the end of the year, it's a lot of human services stuff as we do the reviews and allocations. So here are, these are the things in yellow are things that are actually new. Like typically our work plan doesn't change a whole lot every year. There are some things that we do every year. So the things that are highlighted are new this year to the work plan. So some things that we're going to discuss tonight. We, I think it was Martha who mentioned this in our board in our December meeting where we did a debrief of the funding process, and Martha was talking about taking a deeper look at the questions on the application and potentially, you know, advocating for change. Of course, like I told the new members, we are a collaborative and they would have to go through the collaborative, but I think we are willing to do that. And so one of the things we want to discuss tonight, it doesn't have to take a whole lot of time, but if folks are interested in joining a task force, so that we don't do the work here, because we only meet once a month. And so we have limited time. And so we can do a task force, even if it's 3 people that we have to post it, that's fine, to take a deeper dive into the questions and potentially propose new questions for the application. So we're gonna talk about that tonight. Christina's gonna talk to us about the lean process and how we want to use it to work on our funding process. So again, you guys have this, these are things I want to do a training because I've been working on the agreements, and I've also told our partners that I want to do a logic model training for our nonprofits, because I've been, as I've been working on these agreements, I can see that there's a lot of work needed on that side. But I want to train this board on how logic models work as well, so they can, as they're evaluating, they can think about the outcomes and the activities and outputs that agencies are doing to make sure that those are quality activities, quality outputs, quality outcomes. So I want to do that training in June, potentially bring in a speaker, not just me. We have a really great partner at the county that their job is data and evaluation, and she's led they've led these training before. So I want to do that in June. Depending if, again, on Molly's, the need that Molly has for that. See anything new?
So one other thing that we had talked about that was kind of an outcome of what we heard of our nonprofit engagement sessions. And something that we heard from nonprofits is that many of our board members just hear kind of snippets of what nonprofits do in the funding hearings. And is there an opportunity to be a little more creative about giving you all an orientation, a more extensive orientation on what nonprofits do? And I'm not sure what that looks like.
So that's
is that on here?
Yes, that's number 9.
Did I not see that?
Yeah, because we're
Yeah,
we're gonna discuss potentially modifying the site visit process.
And then looking at how to incorporate that in the work plan?
Yeah, just to address what Christina's talking about. Brenda and I have been talking a little about this, and we're gonna bring this up to you and get your guidance on how we.
Okay, and then we would kind of backfill that
We would
into
backfill
the work plan.
Yeah, like the work plan is flexible, but Brenda and I have some thoughts. See what you all think.
All right, thank you.
Yes, no, we did not forget that. We're gonna definitely address it, but that's agenda item number 9.
Perfect.
Only one change has happened since yesterday. Kayleen requested that we move the inclusionary housing program metrics into April of 2024 instead of having it in May, because in May it'll go before City Council.
So they need to approve it beforehand. Okay, all right, we can make that change. Any other? This is the chance that you have to give input on the work plan, and we'll bring for a final vote in February, but just wanted to share with you anything else that you're interested in putting on the work plan for this year.
I had a sort of clarifying question about the involvement of the lean process, and I apologize, I missed the last month's meeting where it was discussed, but like, what was the impetus, I guess, for introducing that into the work plan for this year? Does it have to do with like time consumption and application review, or is there something specific about the process that was called out? Or
So do you want to answer that, or do you want me?
I think it was all of that, Graham. I think it was kind of what we heard from our nonprofits that, you know, the time that it took from the application to getting the check. I think it was the processes, all the different steps that Brenda goes through, like all of the widgets that it takes to just kind of get things done, kind of what we heard through all of the feedback that we got from you all. As we've had internal discussions at Alberto, Brenda and I, we thought that that might be a good process internally staff could go through to look at doing that, and wanted to give you all an overview of what that entails this month, and kind of what we would be working on, and then bring some of those recommendations back to you.
So that's leaning it up for the nonprofits experience of the process, not our
Right.
as board member. Oh, perfect. That,
Right.
that answered my question.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, I want the color say it might.
It might make your life easier.
It might impact the board, but we wouldn't do, of course, we would bring back a recommendation.
Right?
Sure.
We would vet all the changes.
Yeah, we would bring back a proposal, and then it would be, you know, upon the board to decide whether they want to accept or modify or reject those proposals. Okay. So again, not asking for a vote tonight, just asking for input, or if there's other things you want us to consider that we can bring back, and we will be asking for a vote in February to finalize the work plan. All right. Nothing from our online folks. And I think we can move forward.
Oh, yes. Review revised work plan and now discuss agency site visit schedules for 2024.
So Brenda and I have been talking, because we've actually had, so new members to know, we, yes, see Molly.
Yep.
She will take over the meeting.
Do human service stuff.
Yes, when it's housing times, Molly will be here. So we have had several conversations, Christine and I, with agencies around the hearings and the fact that they're pretty tight, right? And even though they last multiple hours, they're tight. You all hear between 6 and 13 or 14 agencies in 2 or 3 hours and 10-minute intervals. And agencies would like to have more of a chance to share with you what they do. And historically, because, you know, when we do site visits, usually during the work day, it's hard to get board members to be able to attend these, right? Because many of you work and it's just challenging. So one of the things that Brenda and I have discussed is, what if we change the site visit process to where we make it that we provide boards a chance to come, or agencies a chance to come to this meeting, and we give them 15-20 minutes to share and Q&A for you all. The only challenge with that is it may minimize the amount of agencies we can make. We only have 12 meetings a month, you know, 11 meetings a year. And I usually see 2 agencies, 2 or 3 agencies a month I do site visits for. But that is the idea that we wanted to discuss, to both address what the agencies are saying, like, hey, maybe you don't understand, because even the application is just a small picture of what they're doing. So we wanted to bring that proposal to the board. On the packet, there is a list, and let me go over that for our new board members before we get into the conversation. I
did not include it in the.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just ask, so you're saying instead of us going out, they come here?
Right, making it easier for you all to you know.
But it is different, right?
It is. I mean, I think it is nice to for those of you that have done site visits, it is nice to go to their place of work. There's definitely, but it's just harder. It's harder because it's typically during the day and people work, and it's just hard to coordinate schedules. And so if we bring them here, you know, it just makes it easier for you all, for all of you all, and the other piece too is typically we don't, again, going back to that public meeting thing, I usually only take 1 or 2 board. I don't want to take more than 2 board members with me. So that means you get a report from the board members that went, you don't get that personal interaction with the agency. So that's just an idea. We can continue going the way that we've been doing it, where we will send out an email with the agencies that we're reviewing that you can sign up for. Either way is fine with us. We're just trying to really meet the needs of both the nonprofit agencies that want more time with you and the reality of the challenges of coordinating during the day visits. But we're fine going either way. We're just trying to make our process more user-friendly for everybody.
So are some of the agencies like repeat and some new and some maybe?
That's a great point.
The new ones you could visit, sorry, maybe.
No, that's a great question. It's great. I jumped into it with the assumption that everybody knows how the site visit process works. So that's fine, stop me. So the way the site visit process works is that we do site visits with agencies every 3 years. And we do a site visit with every new agency. And so some are repeats. So here's here it is. This is the schedule. Here's who is scheduled for. I'm gonna make this bigger so we can all see it. Thank you, Brenda. So these are the agencies for 2024 that are up for site visits. So these two agencies, these two programs, we could probably do both of them at once, the public health one. These are two programs that just got funded. The ones in black are ones that are at their 3rd year, so it's time to do their site visit. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of red. And these are, there's how many in total? 5, so 15?
And 15, yeah. That's the YMCA has 3 programs.
Right, we just do one with them. So we could do a hybrid. We could say those that are repeating, that they could come to here and get 15, 20 minutes to discuss. And with the new ones, we actually go and do the site visit at their location. We hadn't thought about that, but that might be a useful model.
So you're proposing inviting only those that are up for their 3rd year, 1st year cycle, not all of them.
Right, not all of them, just the ones that are up for the 3rd year. We would, what Cassie's proposing is that we still do an on-site site visit with agencies that are new to the funding program.
Was it new agencies that provided the feedback that they?
No, it was an ongoing agency.
So they were ongoing agencies.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the site visits.
You like site visits?
I would like to see more than a few site visits in one day, so that I maybe could just take PTO and.
Oh, okay.
Like you just spend the day versus, one here, one. It's really hard to coordinate that, but if we can like spend some time, and I know that you don't want preferably more than a certain amount of board members, but what would that mean?
I mean, it's just a couple of different steps to post.
Well, we'd have to ask the agency. So
that's the other thing too. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that.
Yes, it's a public hearing. It would be a public hearing at their place, so they'd have to be okay with it too, right? So that's
which they're only providing information about their agency, so it's not. I mean, I would be concerned if there was something that they don't want the public to know, because I don't think. Well, but our questions are a little more in depth. That's true. So yeah. So
equity and inclusion, diverse. Yeah.
I mean, stuff that the public should know in general, right?
But yeah.
So I would vote to have. I don't like the idea of them coming here, just because that's no different from the interviews that we do during the application process. You know what I mean? Like, how is that going to provide more of an experience than the site visit would? So I would just be apt to like doing a few during the day and kind of making it an event versus, one in one morning and, there's 2 during that month. We can kind of just smash out a couple hours.
Yeah.
Kim has her hand.
Oh, go ahead, Kim, sorry.
I think I like both models. I really like the idea of them coming to report out to us, because I feel often when I do site visits, I only think of questions that I think of, and I don't feel like I'm representing the larger board. And so I think just having the opportunity for everybody to ask questions that might be missed, if we just have a few representatives. So I think there are some benefits to having everybody part of that conversation with agencies coming to our meetings.
So again, this is a new idea, and so we are open to board feedback and guidance. So we could think about, do we want to pilot with a few agencies that we'll invite, a few that will keep the traditional way,
And do several in a day.
and do several in a day, you know, I will.
Maybe there's tiers of like,
Yeah.
this is the group that we would do several in a day. This is the group that we would invite here or do virtually.
Yeah.
Let's look back at the feedback that we got from nonprofits in our engagement sessions and maybe tier it out that way too.
Okay, so we can bring something back in the February, or I can send something out. But yeah, we just wanted to, so we want to, one, recognize the challenge that typically when I do a site visit, it's just me because it's hard to get board members to go, and I try and present out as best as I can. But I want to acknowledge that's a challenge, but maybe by doing it all in one day, that might help with that challenge. And then two, I think to Christina's point, agencies want more time with you, right?
I think that was what we heard loud and clear is that
Like 2 or 3 of them, or all of them, like thematically?
I wouldn't say it's all of them.
I wouldn't say all of them, no, I would say, yeah, maybe a handful.
So they certainly can come to a public meeting. And
That's a good point.
we always invite them to be heard.
Like invited to be heard.
And there's
That
rarely-
might be a good reminder to send out to our nonprofits. You all are always, it's public invited to be heard.
We would let them 10 to
No, you only get 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Oh.
Oh, well,
Yeah, we follow the same rules as the council, so they would.
But hey, it's 3 minutes more than. Why not?
Oh. Martha, can you hear us?
Oh yes, sorry. I mean, I'm definitely open to new ideas. I just want to make sure that it's equitable to all of the agencies, like whatever decides, you know, the decision is to try. There might be an opportunity for unfairness if, you know, we hear a complete presentation from only a certain number of groups. That can create a problem.
I mean, we can put it out as an option to the agency saying, hey, here, you know, you're scheduled for a site visit. Here's a couple of options. You can either come for a 20-minute presentation or even 30 minutes, depending on how much stuff we have. Or we can do the traditional site visit where we go to your, you know, and if nobody chooses the first one, then so be it, right? I mean, that would be, I think, an equitable way to do it, where we give them the option of how they want to engage with you all. So again, we're open. We're just trying to provide a way for you all to learn more about them and then to get to engage with you.
What do you think is more valuable? Is it for that organization to interact with as many board members as possible, or is it for board members to see them in their environment? Is one more important than the other?
I think that's a great question. I think what they would say is, in particular, they would want to engage with, so for example, if you consistently review food and nutrition programs, they would probably say, we want the board members that like to review our application to know more about this, because the application only captures so much of what the organization does. And if you can come see what we do, you know, that might impact how you score the application. So that's probably what they would say. I don't want to speak for them though, because that's just my assumption. As far as like, I think, you know, the site visit is always super helpful when you go to their place. There's no question about how helpful and informational that process is. you walk away with a whole new understanding of the agency. But like I said, and maybe because of the way we're doing it, like Crystal saying, the 1 year, 1 there, that's challenging. And if maybe the easiest thing to do is say, we're just gonna keep it the same way, but we're gonna do, you know, in 1 month, we'll do 5 of them in 1 day or whatever. You know, if that helps, then that's fine. I just think that ultimately we wanna make sure that this board feels that they have deeper understandings of the agencies before they review them.
So does it have to be posted to the public? Like,
If it's 3 or more of you, yes.
but it's not a meeting, we're just going
Doesn't
through a
matter.
presentation.
Doesn't matter.
So like even the orientation that happened, if it was posted, so anytime we're all, it has to be, that's a hard.
3 of you decide to go to coffee with anybody.
State law
Wow.
In the public.
and the public.
For these site visits.
They control it when they site visits.
So could we do it in that, like, if it didn't work logistically to do recordings, we at least invite the public to attend if they're interested? Versus having to record at the different agencies during the site visits?
You have to record. You just have to invite.
Oh yeah, let's invite them.
Well, again, then that would be. I would just say to that, I would be cautious about, because you're going to their place too, right? So they would have to be okay with it as well.
I mean, how much of the public really attends anyway?
No, I understand that. Yeah, I totally get it. I just think that we have to be respectful of.
Okay, well, maybe putting an email too, if that was something that everybody wanted to do.
Yeah.
We could say, hey, we're thinking about doing it this way, but this would mean X, Y, Z. Would you be opposed?
Yeah.
What do you think, Kim?
Yeah, Kim, what's your thoughts?
Well, this conversation is great because it really made me think about the site visits that I did and realized that although I did the site visits, I didn't actually rate their applications, and I had no input into where they ranked for funding. So I think if, site visits are important, and we should also add that intentionality of whoever is there at the site visit should also be the one scoring their application and providing that meaningful feedback for funding.
I think that would be helpful. Yeah, I agree with that. But that's an easier. That would just be asking you, the board, hey, as you look at the list, if you have questions about where they fall in their priority, whatever you want to review this year, pick those that are in that area. Oh, hold on, Jeff had his hand up first, and then Mike, you go.
When do we get assigned the categories?
You pick them, you don't get assigned.
When does that occur?
Late summer.
Late summer, but it can happen whenever,
So what it sounds like is if I don't understand all the categories, but if I get this second category, then only a subset of those 15 organizations I need to become familiar with.
Right, exactly.
I wonder if once those categories are selected, let's say Michael and I are category 2, we really want to we need to get familiar with 5 of those organizations. Could we work with staff and say, well, we're available to do site visits? Or I'm a little concerned about schedules, because it's going to be hard to get a schedule that works for so many advisory board members. So if we don't need everybody to attend, we just need a small portion, could those 2 advisory board members work with staff?
That's usually how it works.
Okay.
That's how it
either
works.
do a site visit or say,
Brenda usually coordinates with us and of course the agency too, because we need to respect their schedules as well.
And if we couldn't find a time that works, then we say, please invite them to this meeting, and then everybody gets to hear. So you just kind of choose the option based upon the availability of the folks that are assigned to that category.
Right.
Then you get that overlap that you're looking for.
So the site visits, do you have like a standard set of questions?
Yes.
Okay, so you can't, all right.
Yeah, I send all that to you beforehand. I try and do at least a week beforehand. I'm not always great at that, and sometimes there's a lot of stuff going on, but my goal is always to send a week before the site visit, send you their application. I send you a form that has their previous year outcomes and the outcomes that they're being funded for this year. So I try and provide as much information as possible beforehand. Yes, Mike.
Are all those The agency is gonna be approved?
They've already been approved.
They've already been approved.
Yes.
So what are our input? I mean, so we were going to decide this year if they're gonna be approved again?
If they apply again. So the site visits don't necessarily have to anything to do with the application process. It's more of a way for the board to get to know the agency more outside of the application process.
So in the fall, agencies that want funding will apply and they'll have a hearing, but those hearings are like 15, 30 minutes. And so you read an application and then there's a pretty brief, quick pace hearing because you might be doing 12 in an evening. And it sounds like they feel like that's not enough sometimes when somebody's scoring them. Maybe they get a sense that this board member doesn't know as much as they'd like them to know about the organization. And so they want an opportunity somewhere else in the year to dive deeper.
Exactly.
And certainly these site visits do that. And I love going to the site. I think that's really meaningful for me to have a little more color and context to a company or an organization rather than just their sort of financial work. But yeah.
Yes, the other thing is we may select a certain category in 2024, and then we select a different category in 2025.
Totally.
And so I do think that it may be valuable for us, to make it as easy as possible for the advisory board to be able to interact with all the organizations in a given year. So if there's time on your schedule, I don't know how compact that agenda is every month, but if there's time to dedicate, 30 minutes or whatever their 20 minutes, whatever their proper time is, and just slot in every month, there is a different organization coming. That's part of the agenda. We're going to hear from Emergency Family Assistance Association this month. We're going to hear from TLC the next month. That just gets built into the agenda, and that's a great learning opportunity for the board. And it may not be valuable for me this year. Maybe next year I'm assigned to review one of the applications, and I'm familiar with them now because I was part of that presentation the prior year.
That's what we've been trying to figure out, because we want to give you all the opportunity, and we also want the agencies to feel that that you give a chance to know them deeper. So it sounds like we've heard a lot of different things, which is great. I kind of want to bring us back and summarize. So a couple of things, right? So there is still desire for the traditional site visit to go. I think that's fine. I think there's a desire to consolidate the site visits to one day for those that can and want to do, multiple site visits. I still think I'm still concerned about having more than 2 board members. That might have to be a conversation just because.
Don't be scared, Alberto.
Well, it's being scared and being, how do we make sure that we stay within, and how do we make sure that our nonprofit partners are comfortable with that? Right. So I do not want to put our nonprofit partners in situations that so for example, if we go to Gaza, right, they may have, because of the
I
word.
could see where that could be an issue, like at Safe Shelter.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Or even TLC with
the kids,
little kids.
Yeah. So there may be some, so again, want to be respectful of all of those things. So again, that's my concern there, but we definitely can consider it. And maybe it's easier for some nonprofits than others, right? To your point, we may give them the option, and if they don't feel comfortable, we'll say, yeah. Okay. And then the other option, of course, is to slot something on a monthly basis, depending on how tight the agenda is. Okay.
I think what we could do is kind of digest this and then break.
You just gotta do it quick. This board is fast paced because there's a lot of stuff that you all do, and I think it's all wonderful stuff. But it's a lot, no question. And I think we want you to feel that you have the understanding and education that you need to make the decisions that you make, because you make some hard decisions. Mm-hmm. We had some very difficult decisions this past year that impacted our nonprofit partners. And yeah, we just want to make sure that you all feel that you have the information that you need to be able to make those hard decisions.
So if we decide not to fund, is there like an appeal process? No. Right.
Well, they could go to council.
They could go to council, but nobody did this year.
Nobody did this year.
And I just want to put a plug in too, because I am a resource navigator, and there's a value in learning about all of your local nonprofits, where you live and what they do and how they do it and why they do it and who they serve and why they serve and yada, yada, yada. You know, even if you're not going to review their application, it's still worthwhile going to that nonprofit and checking them out because it kind of just brings all the puzzle pieces together.
So Brenda, do we capture all those ideas that we can make it more concise and bring it back next month? Yeah, recording now, okay. So yes, I appreciate your guys' input into this, and we will come back with, you know, a concise proposal next month. January is usually us presenting ideas and getting your feedback, and then February is when we come back and that's how we're gonna move forward.
And then the actual schedule for the site visits may be drafted in February? Or... Yeah,
between February, March, and then we get, you know, between April and probably October, we try and do as much as we can. Cool. I do like the idea of knocking out, you know, if there's 15, if we can knock out 5 in one day, that makes it so much easier. It's a lot of work on my end because I have to read tons of paperwork, but that's okay.
If we do it early, you'll have time to do it.
Yeah. There's a lot of paperwork. I gotta read bylaws and audits, and I've learned so much about audits in the last 5 years. It's not even funny. Yeah. Good. Appreciate the input. We'll bring back something in February that is concise.
Thanks, Alberto. Discuss potential task for reviewing application questions.
So again, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing so we can see everybody. And again, this came out of your all's conversation in December around when we do our process review. And so this is my proposal or something is, and we've done this in the past. We have had task forces, and sometimes they're more than 3, and we just got to post it, but that's not a very big deal because we do have the meetings here when it works for everybody. And so if there's a public invite, heard. But you know, I remember Martha's. And actually, Martha, I quoted you. I didn't say who it was, but I quoted you at our collaborative meeting. Well, I see a chat.
It was just me sounding off. Like, I don't want to go back to it, but it's like, okay, I just wanted to acknowledge what a privileged perspective it is to say that us as the evaluators didn't know the organizations or what they bring to the table. They were in complete control of what they present to us. If they wanted to showcase themselves differently, that's on them, not on us. The agencies got the same applications and the same time allocation. So if they feel they didn't do a great job, they can work on that for next year.
And we have reminded agencies. Christina and I have had some hard conversations with agencies, and we had to remind them that, you know, at the end of the day, this is a competitive grant process. If you've been funded for 20 years from the City of Longmont, there is no guarantee that you'll be funded the 21st year. And also reminded them that we have new board members every year, and they may look at an application differently than the previous board member did the last year. And they may have different priorities or just different ways of evaluating and how they, and so, you know, we've had some hard conversations where we understand our nonprofits want stable funding, and I completely get that. As a previous nonprofit director, totally understand that. And this is a competitive grant process. It's not a rubber stamp. Oh, you've gotten $20,000 every year, here's $20,000. You know, if a new board member reviews your grant application and find it wanting, you may lose funding from the previous year. And the other thing we had to tell them that we made this decision 5 years ago when I started is the board at that time said, you know, we're not going to consider historical funding anymore. So every year is a clean slate. So in years past, this board would not fund less or more than what they got the year before. So yes, good point, Martha. But and keeping with Martha's wonderful statements, yeah, I did tell when we had our collaborative meeting, I said, you know, our board wants to take the time to review the questions because, as Martha said, some of the time they were nice words, but they didn't really get to the heart of what the agency does. And so I think what I'm asking the board to do tonight is see if anyone is interested in taking part in a question review with me. I don't need the whole board to do it. I'd like to just form a task force of a few board members, and if it's gotta be posted, if it's 3 or more of you, that's fine. But I'd like to take some time earlier than later. I'm thinking about starting in a couple of weeks instead of starting in March or April like we usually do. If there are board members who would be interested in diving deeper with me on the application questions, with the understanding that they may or may not get, if we do change, they may or may not get approved by our partners. But I just want to do that due diligence and respond to what the board talked about in our December debrief.
So are you asking who wants to be a part?
I'm asking who wants to be part of my.
Okay. Okay.
What's the time? I mean, what?
So I'm thinking, you know, there's like, there's probably like 20 some questions. I'm thinking we could knock it out in a couple of sessions that are an hour and a half.
I would be willing to be one of the members.
Okay.
I would also.
All right, so that's 2. All right, 3.
We have to go public.
That's no problem. 4, okay.
Easy.
All right. I think 4 is a good number. We can do that, and I'll work with all of you and Brenda, your schedule, and yeah, posting it's not a big deal. So, okay.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alberta. We're giving you more work.
Nah, fine.
All right, Christina, are you gonna talk about lean?
But yeah.
All right, so I will drive this.
A little video.
Fancy.
All right.
All right, let me share it first, and then we can start. I just want to get to it. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Is the link in here?
Oh, you know what, that's the, I have to open up the other file. Yeah, that's the PDF, I have to open up the other file. Let me do that.
Okay.
Completely forgot.
I guess I'll just start by saying, while Brenda's pulling that up, is and we got a chance to talk with Michael a little bit about this yesterday because he had some questions about this and why we chose this. This lean process improvement, we actually learned about this specific process improvement program through Denver Health and Human Services. So they implemented this because what they were seeing through their public benefits program was that there was such a long time, such a long wait time for people to access their public benefits. And so they actually had, they implemented lean, and they actually had people with stopwatches that sat in the waiting rooms as people went in and really just calculated how long it took for people to, as they came into the building, to fill out their applications, talk to somebody, and leave with their benefits. And their goal was to shorten that time frame. And they really became experts in human services, in getting people access to their benefits. And so what the city and county of Denver did was created a Lean Academy for different governments. And so the city of Longmont, it's been how long, Alberto, has it been since we took the training? It's been at least
I took it at Range Community College.
5, 6 years. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And so I've used it in several different ways. One of the ways that we used it was in creating juvenile diversion program. And so we were seeing that a lot of the youth that came to us through children, youth, and families were coming to us, and they were being escalated into the criminal justice system at the county level. And so basically what we did was take 3 different systems and looked at how we could provide prevention programming to them to keep them out of the justice system. And we used this process to do that. So we've done it with mental health. We've done it with access to housing services. We created a housing navigation map. And kind of sitting back and looking at observing this process and talking with Heriberto about this, we think that it might be a good opportunity to use this process to figure out how we might make some improvements. So we have a quick little video.
Let's say your business is doing well and you're thinking of expanding. That's great, but it's also the riskiest time for your business. In fact, many businesses don't survive the transition. Should you throw money at the problem by investing in new equipment or hiring more people? Should you make your staff work more overtime? Your answers to questions like these can make or break your business. And that's where Lean comes in. Lean is a philosophy about delivering value from your customer's perspective, eliminating waste, and continuously improving your processes. Lean can radically change the way you do business. Lean management is based on 4 principles. The first principle is pull. Rather than producing as much as possible, customer demand pulls goods or services through the manufacturing process. This minimizes overproduction, inventory, and ultimately working capital. The second is one-piece flow. Focusing on one single piece at a time minimizes work in progress, process interruptions, lead and waiting time, while increasing quality and flexibility. The third is tact. It's the heartbeat of a lean system. It's how fast you need to manufacture a product to meet customer demand. Tact allows us to balance work content, achieve a continuous flow, and respond flexibly to changes in the marketplace. And the fourth is 0 defects. Mistakes happen, but a lean company doesn't pass on defects. Mistakes from previous steps must be fixed before going on. Combined with a robust continuous improvement process, the 4 principles of lean management will help your company stay ahead of the competition in a constantly changing marketplace. So, if you're ready to begin your lean journey, contact us today. Let us show you how lean can bring out the best in your business.
So what we know is that there are 3 of us in this department. Managing and really 2 people that do the contracting work, right? And so when we talk about how many contracts and how many programs?
I think this year's 55 contracts. 55
contracts, $3 million, and 2 people that are managing all of that. And that's only part of the work that they do. Brenda also works for Molly. 50% of her work is for housing and community investment. And then Heriberto, this is just a portion of the work that he does. And so as we look at that dynamic, it really makes sense to kind of implement this. How can we break this down to a science so that, and they do a wonderful job. And how can we use these principles to break this down to a science so that our customers, so that our nonprofits can get what they need faster, and ultimately the community members that really need these services can get the services that they need in the fastest way possible. And so what's really interesting is that this came from a manufacturing company, and so that was the question that Michael had. Well, why Toyota, and why do you do this? And it's exactly that. Like, that's what we learned from the the city and county of Denver. They did this and they did it, you know, pretty effectively to apply this to human services. So go ahead and go to the next one. So really the old way is that, you know, we look and we find the fixes and fix the problems. And really through lean, we look at the processes. Everybody's responsible for quality. The quality is built in. Like as I look at all of the places that Brenda tracks information and all of the different spreadsheets and all of the different places, like it is mind-numbing. And so what we're gonna do on Tuesday is look at, okay, from the time that the application rolls out to the time that the checks go out, there's all these different steps, like things need to go to the city attorney's office, to our risk management department, it needs to go back and forth to agencies. Eliberto reviews the contract, I review the contract, like there's just so many pieces to this. How can we get that in, and what are the pieces of those processes that can be cut out? What we heard, and I think you know, for some of you advisory board members that attended the nonprofit engagement sessions that we had, was why do we need to sign and have things notarized? Like that is just such a waste of time. Things get lost in the mail and those kinds of things. So, you know, we finally convinced the city attorney's office that, you know, hey, we're able to do DocuSign. Everybody's doing that now. You know, we were able to kind of move the marker on some of those. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at. So really what the reason that we want to use it, we're spending time looking for information to complete a task, jumping through multiple decision approval hoops, reorienting tasks to tasks that were interrupted, escalating decisions, tasks to a higher level. You know, this is stuff that we do every year. And then, you know, going back to correct things that are a deficit. You know, if there are things that we're doing every year, if we can get this into a system, then things can move faster. And so what we want to do is create a process flow chart. Look at what our suppliers need. What are the inputs to those programs? What are those internal processes? What are the outputs? What do the contracts look like? And then the ultimate output are the payments to our nonprofits. And then the strategies really are mistake proofing the processes, really using those color coding processes and materials, getting into just a rhythm of how we do things, balancing that workload, and then figuring out what kinds of things we need to keep doing. What are things that we might not need to do that we're just doing that we've been doing for like 30 years? And why like sometimes I'll ask Eliberto, why do we do that? And he's like, well, we've done it that way always. And well, maybe we don't need to do it that way anymore. And I think it's okay to ask those questions. Like we can change things up. And so that's really what we're after. We don't always have to do things the way that we've done them. We can change things up. As long as we're not, like he said, breaking any laws. And we're not gonna have to have a conversation with our city manager, our city attorneys. There's things that we can change. And so that's really what this is about. Do you have anything that you want to add?
No, I'm looking forward to this. You know, what's so interesting is I'm not sure if you all know, I'm on this side of the table, but I used to go to those hearings to present to you all. I applied to this fund for at least a good 11 years before I joined the city. So I was on the other side. I was out the application. And Longmont was always the, you know, I also applied to the city of Boulder and different and the Boulder County, and Longmont was always the, and is, we've heard it from our nonprofits. We're usually the hardest of the 4 funders. Because of just, you know, the sense of accountability that we have, and so we want to make sure that we keep that, but how do we also use this lean process to hopefully find areas of efficiencies, so that we can make it a little easier for you all, for me, for them, while still keeping that level of quality, that level of accountability. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see where this leads. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know where this is going to lead at this point, right? We're gonna look at it, we're gonna map it out, and then come back with the findings to you all.
What we've done so far is, as there have been questions or pain points, we've just been putting them on a list, and just said, okay, let's add that to a list. We'll you know, deal with that when we sit down to kind of hash this out. Yeah, we've just kind of created a huge list. Kind of start to work on that.
Some more work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's not an easy task. And when you look at kind of pulling together different processes, so like when we pulled together like the juvenile justice work, so like the police process, the court process, and the youth mental health process, that was huge. And so you know, when you pull together different systems like that, that becomes difficult. This might be a little easier, but not totally a piece of cake. So
I like that idea. I think my recommendation for you 3 is be intentional about the time that you set aside for it. You know, if you go about your day by day and we're like, yeah, we're gonna get to this, or we can do it ain't gonna ever happen, right? Like, we all know that, especially since it's just you 3. But if you set a week aside to just focus straight on like the lead, like just getting that out, you know, and like really having intentional conversations and working through it, I could see it being something really beneficial and useful. And then I guess another question that I have is like, is there a reason why the city is not providing additional employees to help the team with some of these processes in the future?
Budget
constraints. I'll continue to advocate. One of the focus areas for our department this year is data, and integrating data into each of our service areas, and using that to justify our budget asks. Absolutely. And so I'm going to continue to ask for positions, and ask for another position this year.
Cities usually run with very lean budgets. They have a lot of responsibilities, and not a lot of resources to get those responsibilities met.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is the application pool is going up. The amount of money being requested is going up. Demand. And the work demand is going up. So I don't think it would be a very hard argument with them.
Yeah, I did let council know. So when we presented to council, I let council know about the hard decisions that you all had to make this year. And one of the things I said is it is abundantly clear that the level of resources we have is not keeping up with the amount of need that is being requested, right? So that is being abundantly clear. This year we had, just for our new board member, and I can send you all the presentation that we did to council so you can take a look at it. I did the research going back 5 years of funding. And this is by far the biggest disparity between the amount that we had available to allocate and the amount requested. It was, you know, in the past it was 300,000, 400,000. This year was 983,000 difference. And so that impacted the percentages that we were able to to award. And so, yeah, so that's a reality, that the need continues to grow and the resources aren't keeping up. But I would say that is not just a city issue. I think we're hearing from our nonprofits
across the board.
Across the board, this is for everybody. The need is growing, but the resources are not keeping up.
And we've had some difficult conversations with nonprofits who, as Eliberto said, expected to be funded at a higher level and weren't. Yeah, just had to have those difficult conversations to say this isn't guaranteed. We don't consider historical funding, and the need is great.
For those organizations that aren't funded, do they receive feedback? Do they get input saying, you know, this is why it didn't score as well as other applications? So presumably they can improve their application next year.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're never going to get funding. It's this cycle you did.
Yeah, we've had that didn't get funded one year and then got funded the next year after they took some. They took our counsel. We always offer it to anybody who does not get funded. I will say not everybody takes us up on that offer, but we do always offer, you know, if you didn't get funded, you're happy to reach out and.
Right. Yeah. The other thing that I'll say that you know our department does is work with organizations in different ways. And so there's this pot of funding, this human services funding, but another example is that our Children, Youth, and Families Division was responsible for managing the Metro Stadium funding dollars. And so they had a grant process where they funded nonprofits. And so it could be that, you know, maybe a nonprofit didn't get funding through here, but they got funding through there. There was ARPA funding. There was all different kinds of funding. Like that doesn't happen every year, but we're always looking at different ways of being able to support our nonprofits. If there are opportunities for our different divisions to partner on grants with nonprofits. I know Children, Youth, and Families and Senior Services has done that. Government have passed through grants. For example, like with Safe Shelter, there's different ways that we do that as well.
All right. Any more questions about the lien process? And again, February is going to be another busy month because we're going to come back to you with. Hopefully, we get it right, and some of these agenda items will go fast. It's like, oh yes, this is how we want to do. But we're going to come back to you with what you're providing tonight. Our proposals, hopefully more clear and concise for you all to say, give us a yay or a no. All right.
Cool. Next item is election of officers for 2024. So this year, Kim and I are chair and vice chair. So election of new officers. According to the bylaws, the term of office for the chair and vice chair should be 1 year. Officers may be reelected, but may not serve more than 2 consecutive full terms in the same office.
I think you're out. You've done 2 years.
Yep.
So Graham can no longer. Somebody's got to replace Graham. No longer.
Don't put a wig on them.
So we'll do each one in turn. I guess I'll entertain a nomination for the chair. Well, I guess we'll accept any and all nominations and then discuss and vote at that point. Can I nominate?
Yes, you can nominate.
I'd like to nominate Kim, chair.
I would second that nomination.
If she accepts.
I accept. Thank you.
Any other nominations? Yeah, all in favor?
All right.
Cool.
All right,
congratulations.
We can take over now.
All right, Vice.
I come to all the meetings here. I might as well volunteer.
All right, Robert is nominating himself.
I nominate Robert.
Okay,
Second.
second.
Any other nominations? All in favor?
There we go. So next board meeting, Kim will be leading, like Graham did tonight. He will be our new chair. In times where Kim is not available, then Robert will be, and that's basically the role of the vice chair. If the chair isn't here to preside, then the vice chair presides. Brenda, do we, I was counting earlier, do we have a board, or is somebody missing? Do we have? Oh, and Allen's not here.
We did have, yeah.
So, yeah, no, I don't have quorum, but I was wondering if we had the full board this year. We do.
Yeah.
Alejandro's not here. Okay.
The information that is in your packet.
Right, so just so you know, quorum for this board is 50% plus one. So if we're 9, then the quorum is 5. We need 5 to have quorum. Usually not an issue, but just so you can be aware. All right.
All right, any other announcements or other business?
Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
All
Second.
right, 2 seconds. Good.
Wow, we got through a lot. So thank you all. We got through a lot.
It was a lot.
So appreciate it. But there will be late nights, just to be, tonight we got through a lot. Enjoy it. Have a great night, everybody.
Gee,
I'm gonna stop the recording.
this always means This means